know this might be a tough question, but did you guys get into an argument before she left?
It wasn't like an argument. We had an emotional conversation, but I'll leave it at that. But I just want them back.
The emotional conversation is the main focus on time of death. When did this talk begin? At 4:15 a.m. when he slid back in bed with her. Since his wife is not here to confirm the conversation, we have to take him at his word that he is telling the truth at this point. In forensic statement analysis, we focus only on the words that are used to form the statement. If we disregarded his words and focused on his body language, then the indicators of deception would be present at this point of the interview. Let's continue.
2 a.m., Shanann gets into bed with me. 4 a.m., that's when my alarm goes off for work, and I'm just get dressed, brush my teeth, everything I do upstairs.
Okay.
About 4:15, that's when I get back, slide right into bed next to her, and start having a conversation with her about putting the house up for sale, and talking about actually proceeding with the separation.
Okay.
And obviously it gets pretty emotional, like we're talking about, we felt the disconnection was there, like falling out of love, and trying to stay together, maybe just for the kids' sake, but we're realizing that doing our homework, most of the time that's not gonna work.
Yeah.
And it gets pretty emotional because we have 2 beautiful kids and we have one on the way. So it's just a matter of it was very emotional, we were both crying, and at the end, we just said, she said she was gonna take the kids to her friend's house for the day, and she would be back.
Okay.
I was like, okay, it's fine.
In the first part of the video, it's possible the emotional conversation is the time of Shanann's death. The actual time of death may be unknown, but at 4:15 a.m., her death should be considered. Let's look at the second part of his prison interview to see what was added to his story during the time she came home and the possible time of death.
So she comes home at 2 in the morning. She gets into bed. When you guys had sex together, was that pretty quickly after she came home?
I think it was around 2:30 because I felt like she'd be in bed for a little
A
while.
little bit? Okay. And forgive me, it's not a pervy thing, but she woke you up?
Yeah, she was just. I could feel like a hand was on
Okay.
me, rubbing my leg or my chest or something
Okay.
like that.
And then that was, signal it's go time type thing?
Pretty much. She
Okay.
was yeah.
Okay, I get it. And then that was maybe a half an hour after.
Mm-hmm.
And then after that, is there any talking? Or was it just kind of a
And just
quiet in the middle of the night?
yeah. Just I just felt her hand around me. I'm just like, what? And it was
Time to go.
Yep.
Yeah, okay. That's funny. All right. Then a couple hours of sleep, alarm goes off.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I guess what I don't understand is, so then there was some talking, and then how did you get on top of her? How did that happen?
It's when I got into bed, because she was laying, when she was sleeping, she was laying face down, which she really never does.
Okay.
And I just got into bed and I kind of nudged her, and then she kind of rolled over, and then I was just right there on top of her.
Okay.
In case you didn't catch the tail end of his explanation of how Shanann was sleeping, he said that she was sleeping face down, which she never does. If she was face down, then that means she may already been deceased at this time. Shanann was about to have a baby, and Chris said that she was sleeping face down. For this to be true, Shanann would have to be laying on her stomach for her to be face down. This way of sleeping would cause harm to the baby, and Shanann's face would be directly on the pillow. This now raises the question of, was his wife already deceased before the emotional conversation took place? Let's continue.
And so that was after you'd gotten ready?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you go down, you make your food.
Oh yeah, I got cottage cheese and another couple things that I made
Okay.
food that day.
Okay. And then, so we talked a little bit earlier today about, there was all of these things playing in your mind where you just didn't even want to go another second without having this conversation or without some sort of completion, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then so you come back, she's asleep, and then you just kind of nudge her.
But yeah, I just kind of hey, look up for a second.
And was there nudge talk for 20 minutes, or was it just nudge and then all of a sudden you're on top of her?
No, it's pretty much on top.
Okay, so that happened pretty quickly.
Yeah, that's how we kind of pretty much talked.
Okay.
That was just right there.
And was there talking?
Yeah.
Okay, and so a nudge, a talk, she's laying down and you're standing up?
I crawled back. I got on my side of the bed,
Uh-huh.
and I just nudged her like that.
Oh, okay. And then you're talking while you're on top of her?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. That seems confusing to me. Is that actually what happened? Okay. And so...
And she was fine, like just laying there when you trying to talk to her while you're
So
on
I
top
think
of
she
her?
maybe thought we were going to have sex again or something.
Oh,
Oh.
okay. Okay. And how long did you talk?
Like about 15, 20 minutes.
Really? In that position? Okay. And was there any sex?
No.
Okay.
Maybe she, basically from the position we were in, maybe she maybe thought maybe I'd try to go again. I don't know.
Okay. And I don't harp on it too much, but I'm just...
Up to this point, the emotional conversation may be the time of Shanann's death. The words spoken from her are from his perspective. She is not here to be able to confirm this account. He is putting words into her mouth that may not have been spoken from her. The interviewers question the veracity of his story, and we should also question if any of this is legit. The sex at 2:30 a.m. is to fill in the gaps in his story. If her death wasn't during the emotional conversation, then it is possible she was deceased during the time he said she was face down sleeping. Let's continue.
trying to think, if my wife's 4 months pregnant and it's 5 o'clock in the morning and I want to talk and I want to get on top of her, that's just not going to fly. So that's why I'm confused.
I know.
So, is that really what happened? Okay.
In his first interview, he said that after the conversation, she mentioned going to her friends later that day. In that interview, she is still alive when he goes to work. Now in this interview, she is killed during this emotional conversation. Deception indicated. Again, if his story is true, then her time of death is when he mounted her. But if we go back to the way she was sleeping, then it is also possible that she was deceased before that conversation. Confusing? The interviewers were confused as well, and that is what Chris wanted. Let's continue.
And then talk for about 15 minutes and then it's heated and then your hands are on her neck. Okay. All right.
What did the talk? What did the talk consist of?
Basically, just about how at first it was more of like the selling the house type of thing, or not going to Aspen, or trying to maybe go in at a different time, and then it just switched all to the I don't feel like I'm in love with you anymore, not compatible. Went to that, and that's when I got to the heated part of it
Did she ever say at some point, get off of me or anything like that?
at the end.
Yeah.
That's what she said. I don't want you to feel like, because where I was, it's kind of like she didn't want me like to, sit down or like hurt the baby or anything like that. So it was just kind of
Did she accuse you of cheating at that point? So what'd she say?
She's like, I knew there was somebody else. I knew there was somebody else. I didn't come out to say, that there is somebody else, but she obviously already knew.
Then your response to that was what? Did she say no, there's not? Did you deny it?
I believe I just denied it, but at that point, because when she would accuse me at the beach, it was a lot of like, there's nobody else, there's nobody else, or like, and when we got back home, she always like said there's got to be somebody else, because she'd always talk to her friends like Christina or somebody on text messaging, and they'd always say there's got to be somebody else. If he's not wanting to sleep with you, like he's getting it from somewhere else, and there's nowhere else. She couldn't really say I would get anywhere else because I was using those Antarctica gift cards, so it's kind of like, she just me getting distant, but she knew, and that's mainly the reason why I talked to her, because I knew, like, after that night, it was just like, it felt like, I just felt guilty, more guilty than ever before.
Yeah. And then it seems to me, and sorry, I had a lot of thoughts here. So we know what happened, and we can talk about it today kind of openly, and that's what we need from you, is to just kind of say, I know it sounds bad, or I know this, or I know I feel this way, but physically this is exactly what happened. So if you could tell us that, it seems then that it would have had to been a pretty quick transition from two people talking to this,
Yeah.
right? Is that what happened?
Yeah, it was like, I don't want to, like, trying to think of the last things we were talking about, but it was, I don't feel like I love you anymore, and then she was like, you're never going to see the kiss.
Oh,
That was it.
that's perfect, Chris. That's exactly what we need. Okay. And I know it's hard to walk through that again, but that's exactly what we need. So then, as soon as she started talking like that, then it was on. Okay.
But it was you saying that you didn't love her, is that right? Okay.
And her saying you're never going to see the kids.
You know,
Okay. I can imagine how that made you feel. Sorry.
it didn't warrant what it did.
Yeah.
In conclusion, Chris Watts never gave an exact time of her death. This is my take on the time of death among other things I talk about in this video. It is not an absolute, only my opinion on what may have taken place that morning. I used his words to come to the conclusion of when she may have died. His words guided me to the 4:15 mark when this emotional conversation started. As I re-listened to his story, the way she was sleeping according to Chris, she may have been already deceased before the emotional conversation took place. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe.